I prefer not to look at solutions through a technological lens because that's pushing the solution upon the problem, where we need to explore the problem and then start discovering the solution. I'm really excited about drones in underserved communities, rural communities that have a number of different problems.
What do you think of when you think about an underwater city, and why aren't we working enough on that? Hello, I'm here in Abu Dhabi at XPANSE with Mardis Bagley. Mardis, let's introduce our audience to you. So could you describe who you are in one sentence? And yeah, let's start there.
All right. Thank you, Tobias. Describe myself in one sentence. That's always challenging. Essentially, I am an industrial designer that designs product for positive impact for people on the planet.
Awesome. One of my favorite projects of yours is the future of airlines. I saw in an interview about that project that you hinted at some ideas for robots that don't yet exist. Today, almost all of the money in robotics is going towards one form factor, the humanoid robot. And I was wondering if you could propose some creative ideas for other robots that we might see in the future and that you would like to see in the future.
Okay, so one of my favorites, I think the most powerful type of robot is more of a mesh robot. It's based on nodes. So imagine if we have a world where we're not designing a biped. That's very, very egocentric, right? It fits in a certain system that satisfies a lot of psychological needs for us, right? But imagine a mesh network of robots. They're small robots, maybe hundreds at a time, that create a system that really can become anything. It could become a biped, it could become anthropod, it could become any different shape to satisfy many different things. For instance, if we are in outer space, right now, we have to fix something on a spacecraft, let's say on the ISS, the human has to jump into an EVA suit, go outside, repair the device. If we have a biped, go outside to repair the device, that's great because we don't have to worry about oxygen, temperature, radiation, things like that, but it's extremely limited. But if we have small micro robots that we can deploy on the scale of 100, we can get outside, manipulate the spacecraft very easily, repair it, and then possibly repair multiple things at once, and then go back to sleep, for instance. So I think it's these robotic opportunities that are a little less expected. It's not a single solution. It's a series of different robots that come together and satisfy larger solutions.
When you talk about that, I think a lot about drone robots, right? Do you have any better ideas for how we could be using drones than just light shows right now?
Hey, I love a good light show. I'm really excited about drones in underserved communities, rural communities that have a number of different problems. Let's say we have rural communities that need to be planted. For instance, arid environments that don't have living plants. Can we send a series of robots, a series of drones out there to plant seeds in remote locations? They're very difficult for humans to get to, but by planting seeds, we can start to fight climate change, heat island effects, things like that, and then hopefully produce more oxygen in the process. We can use drones to fight fires easily. We can use satellites to start to detect heat sources in very remote areas, and then fly drones there to do micro firefighting before the fires get big. Just at the initial spark of a fire, we can put it out very easily. So I think that the idea with the drones is really a lot about designing for good, designing for doing solutions that are impact related. Again, there's a lot of needs in the world. Light shows are fun and they're imaginative but I think the opportunity is really how can we improve people's lives?
We'll get to space in a second, but I wanted to ask you about something I don't feel people are thinking enough about. Can I pick your brain on an underwater city? What is on your mind what do you think of when you think about an underwater city, and why aren't we working enough on that?
Well, the first thing I think of is, you mentioned space. It's very similar to space. It is an extreme environment. The one fun way to think about it is everything's trying to kill you underwater, right? There's no oxygen, there's high amounts of pressure, there's no sunlight. All the things that we need in our life to live happy, healthy lives is not readily available underwater. But there's a lot of great opportunity too, right? So for instance, when you start thinking about growing plants underwater, typically you need sunlight, you need oxygen, but we've figured out ways where we don't need to have plants that photosynthesize. We can do it through chemical means, chemical photosynthesis using acetates and things like that. So for instance, if we have problems with air quality or land use or expensive land on the surface of the planet, why not go underwater, right? It's a controlled environment. We don't have the pests that we normally would. So we're dealing with a whole different aspect. And I think very much like outer space, we can test a lot of these theories that aren't aren't easily tested on the surface. If you can develop science, technology, solutions, biology, if you will, under these extreme environments, then in theory, bringing them back up to the land where most of us live, it should be much easier to deploy these solutions.
We're here in Abu Dhabi, about an hour and a half away from one of the most futuristic cities, which is Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any cities today that really pique your interest in the future of cities? Dubai could be one of them, or anything else that you've been studying, and what gets you excited about those?
Yeah, I think Dubai, what's beautiful about it, it definitely has a history. It definitely has a strong culture that's been around here for thousands of years, but it's only been more recently developed, right? It's only more recently been really developed in terms of having the money, having the minds to really push the boundaries. You know, it's fantastic because suddenly we're building islands, we're expanding our physical space. For me, I think some of the more exciting ones are in Bhutan. They're building a well-being city, a wellness city. And it's really focused not so much on technology from the outside, but the spirituality from the inside. What do humans really need to live a happy, healthy life, both psychologically, both physically? And I think that's kind of where we're going. I prefer not to look at solutions through a technological lens, because that's pushing the solution upon the problem, where we need to explore the problem and then start discovering the solution. Bhutan's doing it well. Jakarta in Indonesia is having a number of problems, and they say the city's sinking, right? So they're moving the capital to a new place called Nusantara. And it's a entirely new city built from the ground up with smart city methodologies. It has renewable energy sources. It's trying to do as little impact to the environment as possible. This is what's really exciting, because you're not just building upon antiquated systems, you're starting completely anew. There is a little bit of a question about, well, you know, maybe we should just repair our existing cities, think about reduce, repair, recycle. But at the same time, it's hard not to be excited about these smart cities sort of popping up out of nowhere.
Right, and the enormous potential that you can create when you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good place to leave it. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the audience before we go?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mardis.